So I'm just going to run through different methods of, I guess you'd call it power generation, different methods of pushing, energy that wants to go that way into like a particular area. Right. So like that's kind of what's going on when you're like doing punching or stuff like that. So it's like you use martial arts or a sport as like a means to have a reason or a goal for why you're doing something. So it's like if you break down punching, it's like your reason for doing that is because there's like the way things are going on in the person's body right there is doing something, and when you throw a punch, you're changing the motion of that, usually straight that way, but you can kind of put English on it. So it's like the person is kind of thinking right there, and then they're kind of grounding right there. Like their weight is kind of going through their body, going down, and then that's how they're kind of like standing, right? So like if you're throwing a punch, you're kind of trying to disrupt that structure, which is primarily all of their weight falling down, kind of like stacked. So one way is like you feel your hand, right? And you push your hand into the space where they are. But you can also kind of like put, it's like that your mind, you find the part of you that's like pushing the hand into the thing, right? And you'll see that it's the mind, like your awareness, the surrounding part of your body is what's like pushing and pulling your hand. And then the other person's mind is also there doing that with their body, right? So you have your like physical body, and then right around that is like the thing moving each of you, right? It's wrapped pretty close. It's about as far away as you can feel, right? So like if you just feel like the entirety of your body, like all the skin, just feel all of your skin. In general, the distance that you can like instantaneously just, you're feeling out right there, about a centimeter, right? Like it's just a little bit, give or take. You can inflate it or it can be contracted, right? It's just that thing right there that you feel. Like that, what you feel when you feel your skin is this, it's a sheath or it's an electrical sheath. So if you can throw that as well, right? So if you're using it to push your hand, that electrical sheath, the ether, the feeling awareness is kind of like behind the body, and that's a fearful movement, right? That's where you put you're pushing your body forward in front of you to kind of protect yourself. So that's kind of like moving in fear. If you move with the etheric sheath intact, you're moving it as well. So that puts you into this awareness of like more of a bigger mind that's out here that's pushing on your feeling awareness and your body at the same time. They're kind of coupled to each other. And so that, when that's happening, especially with the etheric body, that's when you get athletic, just their movement. There's not really a technique to it. It's like, is that person coordinated or not? Are they kind of like broken or split? Right? So when I look goofy or when I don't look goofy, it's just because of like, front back splits, up down splits. It's just a split in the awareness. So one part kind of becomes noticeable so once you feel that you're moving that way, you'll know that you're already moving that way, whether you know it or not, and so is the other person. You're very similar, and so you can disturb the other person, because if you run into them, like let's say that you scare them and they fall behind their body and you're there in front, in that sort of engagement or that in sort of encounter, since you're out in front and are wrapped around, when you meet their uninhabited body, like you will take control of it. And so that's a really good hit. Like if you can scare the bejesus out of them right before you move and get them to withdraw as you're being really aggressive, your mind and your etheric energy like is everywhere, but it's also in front of your fist, and then that goes into their, it controls the body, so it'll control their body, and then that causes you, it'll go that way. At least that part will, right? And then you can break, like it can break. That's how, like, to break somebody's body, you have to break their mind. So if you become conscious of like how you're sort of inhabiting your mind and move your mind in addition to moving the body, so that it all arrives as one big thing. But the body almost has to slow down a little bit, because the body can go out in front faster than all of this. So like when you move with that full like committed thing, it kind of almost feels slower. It's like slow is fast, because you're staying with what's happening, which is as fast as possible. That's another way of looking at slow is fast, right? So I mean, you could just practice doing this on your own in a non-violent way, but the like target and the meaningful thing of like, oh yeah, how am I gonna disrupt that person's body, mind, and spirit? By mastering my body, mind, and spirit. And you're like, oh no, I lost my reason to kill. And then what are you left with? Martial art? What is martial art? No. This is punch. Yeah, and so I mean that determines, you can see, I'm not saying anything like new. And so, like I've said, like your awareness of this mind it's kind of averages out, it's distributed in a fluidic pattern that like holds and carries waves. So like when you move with it, if you can feel kind of what's going on, and it's just dancing, like I'm not saying this isn't anything new, it is just dancing, but when you're dancing, you are feeling a vibration or a rhythm. And so you're timing it where it's not just the energy in the hand, but like all the mental, all of the, like everything that you can possibly summon, sort of like Dragon Ball Z style, is going on that mental plane, and everyone goes, okay, it's just a mind game, but so what? But it's like, when it's like two minds fighting each other, it's like if one can get the other one to withdraw via shock and awe or something, trickery or whatever, if the other mind can withdraw, then it can contact the other person's body, subjecting that body to the full force of that etheric mind, which is, it's very strong. Like your etheric body, you get it big, it'll lift up hundreds of pounds. So that's a lot of electrical force. And so when you're hitting and the other person withdraws, and you make contact there, like the totality of that electrical force will go into the body tissue. But if the other person's there, it's kind of like a battle of like battery levels of that etheric body, which is like people's cardio or fitness, the ability to like discharge basically heart energy into that feeling awareness sheath to keep it coherent. So that's why dudes can like slug on each other for a long time in some instances. Or if you hit hard in the correct area, it's like, yeah, you can pop that sort of shield. But just the padding of boxing gloves or whatever kind of lets it operate like, yeah, just via that athletic struggle of like, you don't go down until you decide to go down. Like if you don't give up control, you don't lose control, no matter what. And so that, like seeing that is that's where sort of like punching begins. And so it's the physical alignment and stuff like that is very important. And then the ability to actually withstand a strong electrical discharge, like to hit a heavy bag, or I guess they used to, to punch a carcass of some sort down at the meat packaging facility. That's good. And you learn how to like really accelerate your body is what you're learning how to do when you hit a bag, is that you're fundamentally learning how to accelerate your body and then insert that intent, that idea, that energy of acceleration into the other person's body. The same thing that you're doing to your body. And so if you scare them, or they withdraw from pain or something like that, then all of that acceleration intent of wanting to go that way like rushes into their frame and isn't met with any energetic or electrical resistance, which is what happens if a person is present. You hit them. Like if a person doesn't withdraw, you hit them and they absorb the impact rather than their body. And so people can get very, 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 very good at that. And it's like a battery. Football players, stuntmen. And like endurance athletes learn how to keep it coherent in a weird way. And the people in various sports learn how to keep that body coherent with different movement patterns. It's like you do kind of have to practice over and over and over to stay totally present and not tighten up or turn off or lose some sort of feeling awareness until you've done a movement a lot and you've learned like the pathways to get there without blacking out or anything. So you kind of feel all of that mental energy coming up from the ground, like if you're gonna strike. And so you kind of get there before you get there. Like if I was gonna punch somebody right in front of me, like right there would be where I hit him. I would know or not if I hit him like right here, and this is just the follow through behind that mental body hitting finally the energy, the etheric, or the bite, the actual thing that starts to when the electrical, the potential movement energy from your movement pattern actually goes in and does the punch. And so the key to, like, I don't know, it feels like if you practice it a lot, it would be pretty effortless. You're about this far out. And you can get from here to there with what's basically the same like assurance of like a lightning bolt. But you have to be what normally would take like pretty amped up or intense. So yeah, that's like the different ways of generating force. Punching, you can kind of work on the technique. Yeah, and if you wanted to be crazy about it, you could just like stand in a posture and have people like hit you and strengthen that field as like a practice. And you have like a, pretty complete kung fu. Or like learn to stand in that field, in the effort. people used to be really into this stuff and train really hard. You know, at a bare minimum, transcend the normal physical limitations and unlock, you know, the innate acrobatic potential that comes from having a complete feeling awareness experience of body being.
punching. And yeah, there's different movement patterns like for different like things. Like so if you're going into it with a particular sport mindset or like fighting or dancing, like there's certain movement patterns that you'll never figure out in dance only. It's only if you're like in an oppositional thing. And there's certain things in dance that you would never figure out in oppositional. So you can also like, in the impact where you're influencing their body, send a big wave. Like that's like all of you coming in after or with it, and then that can tend to like disrupt or knock over their body as well by scaring the mind and then pressing into it. So you can try and go this way, and a lot of the times you can be like, oh hey, and then go that way. And really just the technique is just feel the whole field, so just all of the skin, and then kind of feel the entirety of that field, so either falling or coming up from the ground, driving. And so like the mind, it feels like the intent to kind of go this way starts, right there, and then like it draws the fist up like a kind of like a lightning bolt following the leader thing. So you can go there and do that. You can go there. You can go there. You can go there in the balls. And none of this stuff is like, it's not magic, but it's also what it's like, yeah, this is exactly what you do when you're on. It's just a pep talk for normal. just move naturally how you already know how to move. Be how you actually are. You'd think it was easy, but it's not. It's hard.